nothing's happening. And next thing you know, we start feeling very isolated, from other people around us. And we have a hard time to connect with other people because it's like our external world just isn't upgrading the way it's supposed to. Keeps us kind of locked down like a prison, basically, like a spiritual prison.
Right. So what do you suggest to the listeners that are having these issues? What do you suggest that they do? I know you have some artwork that you offer. You have like free samples, and then you also have like cases of artwork that you sell on posters. Can you tell them some of the things that you can offer to help them?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that we got to, have is kind of just gratitude and appreciation that we actually understand these things, because probably about 98% of the planet goes about their life not even realizing that we're actually shut down like this. And the few percent of us that have opened up, we're aware of it, but there's not enough of us to really make a massive change like what we need. And I think one of the biggest things that any of the light workers or children that are coming into this earth are opened up, the biggest thing that we all want is the people who are closest to us, our family and our friends, to start opening up and understanding what it is that we're experiencing. I think that's kind of one of the biggest things, desires that we want. At least I know it's one of mine.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful. You have a beautiful purpose, and I'm so happy that you're fearless in sharing that. I'm serious. You're so fearless, and it's beautiful. I just want to let you know, Cory.
It wasn't always that way. I hid and didn't speak for like 10 years.
Yeah, well, you were in your prison, right? Your spiritual prison.
And exactly. And then I started realizing, I was like, oh my God, this is part of, and for a long time I felt like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm being told was don't speak, don't say anything. And then I started developing, I was given this vibrational technology. And next thing you know, my body's vibration started changing, and all of a sudden my body, instead of saying don't speak, is saying, let's open things up, let's get things going, let's stop hiding, let's stop waiting for something to happen to trigger this event, let's make this event happen. And my body just started changing, and if your body's been opening up, you probably know what I mean, because before I started actually sleeping on this technology, when I tried to open things up, my body would attack me. It would say, don't speak, and if I did start talking, it was like I was attacked with all this guilt and, like, internal abuse. Did you ever go through that?
Most definitely. And a lot of thinking about, like, I'm just bothering people because they can't handle it. You know what I mean? Like, making other people uncomfortable with the things that I say and know. I would just feel weird. And now I'm at this point where I don't care about anything. I do have some of your technology that I sleep over. And I can definitely tell you that it has helped me, I guess you could say, shine out fearlessly. That would probably be it. It's helped me.
Well, the neat thing is there's an actual, like, mechanical system behind that. Like, human beings actually have a hive mentality. We function as a collective, and it's like a collective choice that we all make. A lot of us are unaware of it, but we're all making it. And it all has to do with vibration. It's the vibration that we're putting out, or a collective vibration that we have as humanity. Now, the weird part is that because electromagnetic frequencies can put off vibration, they start sending our body signals. And these signals are instructions for how we're supposed to feel, how we're supposed to think, how we're supposed to act. It carves our perception for the way that we're supposed to do things. And when you start understanding that these electromagnetic frequencies have basically, it's almost like grabbed humanity's brain and started guiding it towards a direction where it's set for, which is basically don't move, fatten your body up, and think a lot, which are vibrational programming that's in electricity. You'll start understanding, like, why the greed comes, why kids can't move at school, why they shut out all the extracurricular activities and have only just the information, And you start understanding why, like, food companies start cutting down quality to make a little, just pennies more. But we have to pay with our lives, basically, and happiness and with our health to save pennies. And it's all based off these vibrations that are stored in the electromagnetic grid. Now, the real neat thing is, because it's like a hive mentality or a collective, the human body itself, not the spirit inside the body, but the human body, because of this coding, and it's all agreed upon by all humanity because all the bodies are receiving the same signal or the same information. When you try to go outside this hive mentality and all of a sudden want to go green, let's eat healthy, let's get these toxins out of our food, you know, let's reduce the amount of electromagnetic pollution in our house, let's start talking and acting, you know, more positive rather than gloom. Let's start functioning as a collective rather than a survivalist society. As soon as you start going against these belief systems that are stored in power lines, the body itself attacks you. And the reason the body attacks you is because the body believes, because it's part of a hive mentality, as soon as you start going against that hive, the body believes that it's actually sick, and the body will start shutting itself down to try and prevent you from going against the collective.
Mm-hmm. I went through that.
You understand that?
I went through that hardcore, really hardcore.
Yeah. And the more you try to go out, the more it's like your body just sabotages you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I've talked to, you know, because of the job and Sacred G and everything that I do, I always get to meet these like really amazing people all around the world, and really amazing inventors. You know, just these amazing people have such deep thoughts and deep insight on solutions to really build a world that works for everybody. Every time they try to make something happen on a large scale, something goes wrong at the last moment, and sometimes it's them self-sabotaging, sometimes it's the other people that they're working with, sometimes it's just the environment. Like all of a sudden there'll be a earthquake or a tornado or flooding, or there'll be some type of like major event that will all of a sudden stop everything. And it's the body that does it. It's like when right when it's about to happen or a deal's about to be signed, the body freaks out and goes, whoa, wait a sec, this is against all the programming that I'm actually getting. You're completely off track, and it sabotages you. And the reason is because the body is receiving all these instructions, all these thoughts, essentially, from the power grid that says this is the direction where we're going. And as soon as you try to go in an opposite direction, the body says, whoa, you're off track. And it's trying to help you by getting you on track. But those aren't your thoughts. They're not the direction you want to go. They're directions that are being given to your body through power, literally through the power system.
And, you know, the whole thing you're saying, like things would happen at the last minute, that could also be something considered upper limits. Have you heard of that? Where there's upper limits where basically a person's enjoyment or level of comprehending or reaching a higher thing, they hit the roof. Have you heard of that, upper limits?
I've heard of that.
I'm wondering if that's a possibility. Because, like, things in your universe will throw kinks in the system when you're, you know, trying to reach that. Am I making sense?
No, that is there, and that is an actual system inside the body. When, like with the energy technology that I was given, as soon as I put a lot of energy into the actual body, you know, by sleeping on a lot, if it's past a threshold, the body will shut down, go through a cleanse, reorganize itself, and then increase all that energy in the body. And so it's kind of like it's a defense mechanism that's built in the body to protect it from overloading with too much energy. There is that system that's built in there, but typically you have to infuse the body with a massive amount of energy to be able to do that. It's usually not just through our gradual experiences that we're building up to something, you know, like building a business or putting together a plan or like, you know, creating some type of philanthropical project to make a big shift in the world.
I think, do you guys want to take a caller real quick or not, or wait?
Yeah, we'll take a caller.
Okay.
This is great.
Okay. Hello?
Hi. Welcome.
Oh, I had something that just came to me. I mean, things just come to me, so I figured I would call you. I had two friends that were epileptic, And it just occurred to me that this chemical probably might have either interaction or something to do with that epilepsy. Could you comment on that? Seizures.
Seizures are a way that the brain uses to, if the brain has too much energy inside of it, and typically it's if a neuron itself kind of like short circuits, and it sends electrical energy like into all the liquid inside the brain, which starts activating all the neurons at once. The brain, in order to prevent itself from basically burning out, takes all that energy and it discharges it through the cerebellum. Because it has to discharge it so fast, that's the actual shaking.
Okay.
Reasons for seizures are varied. I mean, some people are born, with that. Other people have suffered from, different types of like toxic poisoning, or are more susceptible to it than others.
Okay.
Brain injuries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Oh,
the technology I'm going to talk about here tonight is actually is used to strengthen and increase the density of the neurons. So you get more neural growth inside your brain. It starts reorganizing the way the neurons are set up. Typically, if you've got one region of your brain which is really dense in neurons, because of the density, you'll notice that there's more arcing out inside a real density-rich area inside your brain. So there's memory systems that's built into the technology to kind of reorganize the way that your neurons are set up and structured so you don't overload.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, good question,
Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
so once I started...
One more thing. Someone in the chat, Kalena, I hope I'm saying her name right.
Hi, Kalena.
Hey, Kalena.
Her first question is, should we make up a new connection, one that will resonate with our intent so our bodies won't sabotage us?
Yeah, I know. I think I understand what you're saying here. When we start focusing on what it is that we specifically want, the hard thing is that in order to really let go and allow life to manifest it for us, and that's kind of what creates the magic in our life, as soon as we actually let go, that's where the power grid comes in and starts overriding our brain, and that's that last moment of sabotage, which prevents things that we actually want to happen because we start feeding our brain a different set of thoughts. And you have to realize that when you're thinking, the neurons or the nerve endings from, hit these muscle filaments and they're about to send a signal, they emit this tiny little electromagnetic frequency, which is picked up by a subsystem of your DNA called epigenetics. And if you'd like to learn more about epigenetics, study Bruce Lipton's work, and he'll teach you all about epigenetics in a really powerful way. But these little electromagnetic fields, which are emitted from the nerve endings, are also absorbed from the vibrations in our environment. So our environment is actually feeding us thoughts that we're completely unaware of, and it's making choices for us that we're also completely unaware of. Once I started discovering how powerful that this actually was, a lot of times what they teach us in Law of Attraction is focus on what you want and you'll attract it. But they never ever talk about this other half of our environment is actually creating decisions and choices for us, and we're doing it. And they talk about it in the Law of Attraction. What are your unconscious belief systems that are generating the reality or generating these shortfalls that you're trying to overcome? But they never ever talk about the actual environment, and they don't actually get into the real depth and science of the way the Law of Attraction works, with the actual biochemical nature of the human body. And because they don't really ever talk about that, or because I don't know if they actually know it or studied that deep into the way that thought actually works inside the brain, they don't talk about the environment, and that the environment's actually making decisions for us. So once I started to realize this, this was back...
Her other question is, how can we build a new grid?
How can we build grids?
Yeah, how can we build a new grid?